nonprofits. We love all that stuff. We're a for-profit business. To be able to give back to nonprofits. That's one of my main goals in life, is just to be able to help the nonprofits, help the fundraising, help the school teams.
You're listening to the Good for Business podcast, where we feature interviews, tips, and tricks from owners, operators, and innovators throughout Mississippi and around the world. And now, your host, Colin Krieger. Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Colin Krieger, and with me is my good, close personal friend, Andrew Benton from Benton's Maintenance and Mechanical, superstar, air conditioning, plumbing, electric, probably septic, insulation, anything maintenance mechanical with your house or your business.
We don't give us too much. We stick to what we're good at. Plumbing, electrical, HVAC. We will get into a little bit of that other stuff, but it's got to be complimentary or we're not going to do it.
Oh, good. Well, let's start at the beginning. I want to talk about your origin story. I know you worked with your dad a lot when you were just a baby in diapers.
Yeah. I grew up I'm the middle child of 5, and but I'm the oldest of my mom. And so just kind of grew up it's in my blood to do this kind of stuff. So I got a grandpa that was just really, really super handy. My dad's super handy. All my dad's side of the family is just super, really handy. And so when I was a little kid, my dad would do handyman stuff, and a lot of HVAC, a lot of plumbing, a lot of electrical. But I would go ride with him. I was just a tool toter since I was like 5 years old. And he didn't make any money on it. He did it to help people out. He made a little bit of money, but for the most part, he just did it to help people out. And he would, very hands-on with it. So rebuilt my first toilet, I think at probably age 8, and I was assembling ceiling fans at that point and putting in outlets and switches. And then when I got a little older, I have an aunt that lives in the Panhandle of Florida, and at that point she had around 75 rental houses, and I would go stay the summers with her, and we did every single thing you could think of on the rental houses, from painting to roofing to, cleaning them and appliance repairs and everything. We did everything, and so I spent a lot of summers down there, and I just fell in love with, doing this kind of stuff at a really young age. So
that was your summer camp? Was going to work on rentals? That was my summer camp.
Yeah. I'd stay there for almost a month down there with her during the summer, and I was homeschooled, so I could kind of go in the summer. Sometimes I went in the school year, just kind of would get a month break. And yeah, she's a workaholic. We just worked all the time, and we did literally every single thing on a rental house you could think of. And so yeah, that was my summer break. I worked on my summer break.
So growing up in high school, because you were homeschooled, I know you said you were both the valedictorian and last in your class.
Yeah, last in my class, first in my class, valedictorian. Yeah, I got a really flexible schedule with that. I'd actually get done with most of my schoolwork at around lunchtime, and then around 13, I started working full-time, or almost full-time. It was like 30 hours a week. And I was actually a janitor. My first job in high school was a janitor, and so I got really good at cleaning up behind myself and cleaning bathrooms. And I fell in love with, I guess, dirty, nasty things at that point, because public bathrooms are pretty rough. But I got really good at cleaning up things. And
where was that? Was that a church?
That was at a Reformed Theological Seminary in Jackson. So we were in the hood in Jackson, and but it was a really cool place. I had some really good bosses there. My dad actually was the maintenance director at the school, and then so I hopped on as a janitor. He couldn't hire me because I'm working with sharp, pointy things at 13 or 14, but I worked there in the janitorial department, and just got really good at cleaning stuff, and I loved that job. It was actually a cool job. It was cool ministry too, because it was a lot of cool stuff going on there it's a Baptist college, or it's a Presbyterian college, so they teach people how to be ministers and stuff like that. So that was pretty neat.
That's pretty groovy. So where do you go from there?
Let's see. So I worked there until I needed a full-time job, and my first full-time job was I was at a restaurant. I actually started working at a restaurant. It was called Nolan's Grill. And so it was a New Orleans flair restaurant, real small place. Used to be a Baskin Robbins, actually. And then they converted it to a restaurant, and it probably had like 50 seats, maybe 60 seats. I started out there as on the dish side, washing dishes. And I actually got promoted one day because our sous chef that was there killed himself. And so it was a pretty wild day of events. And I was over there washing dishes. It was two of us. And they're like, hey, such and such is not coming in today. You're going to come cook. And after that, that was it. And I cooked there I was a sous chef there for 4 to 5 years. One of my favorite jobs. I love cooking. I fell in love with cooking, and I still love cooking. And I would I ran the steak side, and then I would run fry side sometimes. And I do some prep stuff, but really small local restaurant. My wife actually worked there. She was one of the main servers. We made a really good living there. The owner was super cool. My boss, that was the head chef, he was the manager. He ran everything. He was golden, just really golden guy, really cool. And then the owner was really neat too. We had a lot of regulars. It was a real small place, and it was besides Applebee's, it was the only sit-down restaurant in Clinton, Mississippi. And we just had a great experience there. It was I used that experience there to kind of build how I run Benton's with my team, because they were just really giving. They give the shirt off their back. They paid me really well. A lot of really cool benefits. Got to eat. I ate a lot of ribeyes, and it was a free. I get a free meal a shift, and so every once in a while I'd get a ribeye, and then real cool fresh fish and stuff like that. So fell in love with cooking. Doing that. So
were you still doing cleaning and working on stuff on the side?
I was not doing that. I did that. I kind of did that for a little bit together, but then it got too much, and I just did the cooking full time. And while I was still in high school, and then I dual enrolled. I started dual enrolling when I was like 16 at the Hines Community College down there in Raymond, Mississippi. And so I started doing, got all the prereqs done for an associate's, all the maths and comps and all that kind of stuff, and the sciences. I did that. And then as soon as I got done with high school, I went straight into the HVAC program at Hines Community College down there, and it was a killer program. It was a 2-year associates, and I started that right out of high school. As soon as I hopped on there, I hopped on with a air conditioning company there in Jackson. It was called Dent Air Conditioning, 60-year-old company. They were a carrier dealer, and they had a plumbing, electrical, and HVAC department. So when I was there, I was in school at the same time, got a lot of hands-on experience. And at that department, once they figured out I could do all 3 of the trades, they just kind of passed me around. So I was like, if we were slow on one department, I'd go work on the plumbing, work with the plumbers, or I'd go work with the electricians, or I'd go work with the HVAC guys. I was primarily HVAC because that was the degree that I was in. But they kind of passed me around. So I worked there for 3 to 4 years, moved my way up there, worked 3 to 4 years, and then I worked at the restaurant too. Worked both of those and school at the same time, so I had 3 jobs most of the time, or two to 3 jobs, and then I do a little bit of work on the side for myself while I was doing all that. But yeah, that was a really good job too. That was a lot of good experience. I got to sit down and ride with really old seasoned techs that they were on top of their game. We were a really, really white glove company. Like, we were one of the higher end companies in Jackson. We worked in all the old neighborhoods and all the old money that was there. We had really cool experiences doing that, working on really old houses, which was neat. But I had some really good mentors there that just took the time with me and got me ready. In 6 months, I was there riding with other techs, and then they let me out on my own. And it was probably a bad decision at first. I was only been doing this officially for 6 months, but I did really good. I started out just doing filters, changing filters, washing units. And had some really good customers there too. I never brought my own lunch. They would always make me lunch. Really cool older ladies that would make me lunch. It was really cool. So I worked there for 3 to 4 years, I guess. And then that's how that went.
How do you end up in Columbus, Mississippi then?
So I'll kind of go back a little bit, actually. I need to go back. So I started dating my now wife when I was 13. Never had another girlfriend, so she was my first girlfriend. I was her first boyfriend, and we dated all the way through high school. Made one bad decision in high school. We broke up for a little bit, and then we got back together. And so she was born to be a nurse. So her grandma was a nurse, her mom was a nurse, and so she applied to MUW, the women's school, for nursing. She got accepted. We got married when we were 19. Like I said, we were both working at that restaurant. We got married at 19. lived in a camper actually for a year. We've lived in a camper for way more than we wanted to. So we lived in a camper for like 2 years. Our camper we went through a tornado in the camper. That was pretty exciting. And then she got accepted to the W. So we plan on moving up here. We went and found a house. We actually found a house on 10th Street North, older duplex, really cool old duplex. We got a really good deal on it. And so we moved up here when we were 19, 20-ish, right around in there. And that got us to Columbus, and she started going to the W. I transferred from Hines, finished my HVAC degree, then I started a business degree at Hines, and then I continued it at EMCC. And then I tried to go over to state. I could not get through calculus. Calculus whooped my butt. And so I stepped back, and we actually sat down at Applebee's, and we were like, hey, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like, well, I kind of like maybe having my own business. And so engineering is what I was originally in, and I transitioned to business. And I was like, well, we live right around the corner from the W, so I'm gonna go to the W. And so I went to the W, got a killer degree. The W has a great business program. Really small classes, really awesome teachers, really good advisors. I still text them and email them here and there when I need good employees, because I know they're going to spit out a good product. And so I got my business degree from the W. It took me a while. It took me like 5 years because I was working 50 hours a week trying to do school, but I ended up getting my business degree there. So that's what got us to Columbus. We fell in love with Columbus. We fell in love with downtown, and we fell in love with Columbus. And we really, really have enjoyed our time here in Columbus. So,
well, good. And so the first time I ran into you, I think you had started the air conditioning deal, and you came to BNI. Maybe I'm not sure. I know you sponsored one of the events at my house.
That's right.
I've seen that from
we hung out. Yeah, we hung out when I think it was it Christmas or a crawfish boil? I can't remember.
I don't know.
It was one of the events. Yeah, we sponsored an event. And then I started doing that. So I worked at Harvey's for a year, worked my way up to a manager there. At one point, I was working at Harvey's, Golden Horn, youth minister at my church, and then doing school full time, like 14 hours. That was wild. While I was trying to put Allie through school, because the nursing school at the W is very intense, and she's super smart as a whip. But I had to put her through school. So I was doing the 3 jobs at one point, and I was my church had actually asked me to be the youth minister, but at Harvey's you had to work Sundays every week, and so I wasn't able to go to church. Really missing that. And so at the same time, the Sunday my church asked me to be the youth minister. Monday, Mr. Mike Perkerson at Military Hardware put a business card on my door. I had been going down to the store buying stuff to remodel my house. It was an old house, so we were buying paint and caulk and, all the stuff you need to remodel a house, nails and different things. And so he had recognized me from there, knew I was pretty handy, and put a business card in there, said, hey, come talk to me. I came down there and talked to him, and he was like, hey, I think you'd be a good fit to come work here. We need somebody part-time, and we're closed on Sundays. We're just half a day on Saturdays at that point. And I was like, yeah, that's great. I love it. And I'll never forget the first conversation, or maybe the first day or second day that I worked there. He was, I don't know if he saw my potential, but he was like, look, I want you to learn working at this store well enough to where you can run it one day. And, I was like 20 or 21. Didn't think anything of that. But I learned the store. That was great. So I left Harvey's. I worked Harvey's nights, actually. I bartended at Harvey's nights for a long time. Worked at the Golden Horn. Only job I've ever been fired from, actually. I got fired there. So only job I've ever been fired from. Got fired there. And then, and so I worked Harvey's, church, Military Hardware, and school for a little bit. And then Military Hardware kind of took over, and I worked there a lot. Still did the church. I worked at the church, but started working at Military Hardware. Hands down, the best job I've ever had. The restaurant was probably close second, but man, working at the store was just the best job I've ever had. It was a dream job for somebody that likes fixing things and being handy. Really tons of good community stuff was happening there, still is happening there. You're kind of downtown. You get to help people a lot. You get to just help the community, give stuff, and, help people figure out their problems. And that was a killer job. I loved working. The Parkersons were golden. Brad, Mike, Carol, Angie, they were all just golden folks. They're just real good people. Yeah. So I loved working there. And that was my favorite job. That's my favorite job. I like doing what I do now, but man, I'll tell you, that was a pretty cool job. But I love doing what I do now too. But working at the hardware store.
So timeline wise, how does it translate into you and one blue truck or two blue trucks, and simultaneously you somehow dragging your parents and your sister up here? So.
Yeah, let's get to that. That's pretty complicated. So one blue truck. So I was working at the hardware store. Still needed to pay bills. They paid me pretty good, but I found out that people would try to fix their own stuff and either get over their head or screw it up, or they just didn't want to do it. And so I'm a workaholic, so I would work. I had business cards, and I'd leave them there. Mike was cool because he knew I did good work and showed up on time, answered the phone, all that kind of stuff. So people would come through the store, and they would say, "Hey, I'm going to fix this." And I was like, "Okay, if you get stuck, give me a holler. Here's my card." They would get stuck. I'd come give them a holler, and then I'd go fix the stuff. And so I worked there like 3 days a week, did school. I'd have half days of school to go work, and then I'd work a half day on Sunday, full day on Saturday, and just did side jobs. My first work truck was a Nissan Xterra that had a ladder rack on it, and it was so funny. It was a one-seater. By the time I put all the tools in it, it was just enough room for me. Allie, my wife, could not fit, and once we had a kid, they could not fit either. But you'd open the door, and hopefully the tool that you needed would fall out, because there were so many tools in there. It would just fall out on the ground, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I do need that impact wrench, or I do need that Lebanon one that went out on the ground, or whatever, the pliers." Everything would just fall out because it was so much stuff. So that was my first work truck. Worked out of that for a few years. It was really cool because I found an auction blue Air Force van that had some minor hail damage. Couldn't really tell it. Got a really sweet deal on it. Bought it from the government from an auction. I bought that. A week later, the transmission goes out in the Nissan, the Xterra. Really worked out. God was in control of that. And then I bought some old I bought an old AT&T van, shelving, old AT&T ladder rack, repainted it, kind of upfit it on the cheap, like really cheap. And then I loaded it up with tools, and I started just hammering down, going to work. So worked at the hardware store I worked at the hardware store for a long time while I was building Bentons. And then, I just keep picking up customers that way. And then I made my first hire. His name was Logan. He was my first hire. Hired him in 2000. I think he started in like 2016, I believe. He started, and he actually worked out of that truck while I still worked at the hardware store. So he would be working almost full time for me while I was still just working at the hardware store. And they gave me a good deal on materials, and I was able to get more customers. So I grinded that way for about a year. And then I started working part time with the hardware store, and then working as they needed me. And transitioned out that way, and then started working full time. We hired a couple more people, and we just started, hammering down on that. And so that's kind of how that got there. About I think it was, I can't remember the year. It was around 2019, I guess. Mr. Mike Perkerson was still working at the store. No, I had quit working at the store. I was gone from the store. Mike pulled me to the back, and he's like, "Hey, look. Remember the conversation we had when you first started, however many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, about running the store?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. He's like, "Well, do you want to run a hardware store?" And I was like, "Well, I got this other business, it's rolling, it's rocking and rolling. But I got a guy, I know somebody." My dad had actually, they bought a house, and he was still living in the camper, in a camper over in Grenada, working at ADP, which is a division of Linux. And he's super handy, like I said. And I was like, "Hey, Dad," I pitched it to him. I was like, "Hey, Dad, you want to run a hardware store?" And he's like, "Sure. We'll that'd be cool." Took my mom a little more convincing. She's the books lady, the accountant lady. So everything worked out with that. God worked all that kind of stuff out. We bought the store in 2020, and it was crazy. It was a wild year, 2020. So bought the store. We closed on it like January 1. A few weeks later, Dad had emergency quad bypass. So he was out right off the bat, and we were sitting there trying to run the store. And then, of course, 3 or 4 months later, COVID hits. And COVID was rough on the store, really rough. It was good for Benton's, not good for Military Hardware. Had a lot of supply chain issues. And we weathered that. We picked up a bunch of different suppliers, so we were able to make it happen. It was a rough. We lost some older help but they didn't die, but they didn't want to die. So we lost some good older folks, but we gained some new good ones back. We got some good ones rocking and rolling right now. But that's pretty much how we kind of fell into Military Hardware, and that's pretty much it. So.
Yeah, and your sister followed up here.
Yeah, we got a bunch of entrepreneurs. We got entrepreneurs. Almost every member of our family is an entrepreneur. So my sister, she just opened up a gym called The Gym.
They stayed up multiple nights thinking of that name.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like, well, let's just call it The Gym. Let's keep it simple.
It's doing great though.
She's kicking butt, man. Like she is literally kicking butt. Like. Really doing good. She's, her and her husband Wade, they're a dynamite couple. She's a workout nut. She always has been. And so the gym, I actually work out there, so it's awesome. I've lost 20 pounds since she opened, which is really cool. Thanks, sis. And I got a little brother. I actually have a little brother that has a company that does maintenance work down in the panhandle of Florida near my aunt. And he's rocking and rolling down there. So all 3 of my immediate siblings are entrepreneurs, and then my older siblings, one of them's in the Coast Guard, the other one lives in Brandon, and she's an awesome mom. She is a killer mom, and her husband's a real entrepreneur. So they're in the family too for that. So
the stress-free entrepreneurial life.
Man, yeah. I always tell people, I joke with people all the time. I was like, there's plenty of job openings for being an entrepreneur. The possibilities are endless, and there's a reason for it. And, you always hear, like, there's humps. And so, like, we made it over the 5-year hump. We're about to kick the 10-year humps rear end. And, those humps are serious. It's not an easy road. It's not stress-free. It's not stress-free. But it's a thing.
So you've gone through some stages of growth. When it was just you and Logan is when we started hanging out. We I think we'd met before, but you were in BNI, Business Networking International. We've both been in there 8 or 10 years.
Yeah, BNI is crucial, is crucial. I'm still in the BNI. I've been in it for 9 years now. BNI is crucial. When you're starting, even now, like I get get referrals, give referrals. I got a power team in there where we kick butt and take names, but there's lots of weird stages. So there's a 2-man truck stage. That's just work. Don't have a lot of time to focus on the business. You're just in it. You're all up in it.
And by the way, there's a lot of AC companies in the Golden Triangle. They're just It was one guy. He hired a second guy. They've got 2 trucks. That's about it.
Yeah. That's not a bad space to be. I miss it a little bit sometimes, but it's not a bad space to be. I like where I'm at now because I can spend a lot more time with my family. That time you're all up in the business doing it, and then you're at like this awkward stage where you kind of need to work on the business some, and then you still want to work. Like, I love the work, and so that was where we were at, like, I guess 5 or 6 trucks at that point. We had grown pretty good bit. Then you need an office. We worked out of the hardware store, kind of hung out with Dad at the store. He gave us the attic, basically, and we were up there. That's a kind of an awkward stage. And then we rented our first place. We rented an older house down the road from the store. And then we had a couple shipping containers we were working out of. Then we're at the 7-8 truck stage. And then now we're and then you start getting to where you get to where you really do need to be in the office. You do need to be the CEO. You don't need to be in the truck as much, but you really want to, and that's hard. Like, ripping me from there was bad. It's
hard to let go of anything else when you're the guy and you're used to doing it.
I just love it, man. It's not even like letting it go or worrying about other people's quality or anything like that. I love getting my hands dirty. Like we were talking out there in the lobby about. I like getting poo on my hands, which is weird.
Don't do that while you're wiping.
Yeah, I haven't got poo on my hands today, so I guess that's good. But I miss that. I miss the work. Like, every once in a while, it's funny. The office, staff will be like, I'll be in my office pecking away on the computer or whatever and figuring out a price book or an SOP or coaching guys or whatever. And then I'll just yell out, be like, hey, look, y'all got to find something that's broke. I got to go fix it. I got to get out of here. And then I'll go get my fixing fix, and go get my khakis dirty. And, but now, the last 2 or 3 years, I really started hammering down. My first step was getting a business coach. Had a business coach for 2 years. Had a couple different coaches for 2 years. And the business, once you get a business coach, it's been there, done that kind of thing. And I got a few other mentors that have been there, done that. They're at a whole nother level. Once you get one of those and you really start to be intentional about your how you run your business, I hopped on and we do a program called EOS. So it's the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and it's based off a book. It's called Traction, and it's basically like taking you from one-man, two-man show to wherever you want to go. And so where I want to go is about a 20 truck operation, maybe 25 at the most, and then that'll be around 40 employees. And but it'll take us there. You set goals, you have systems, you have a way everything runs. Everybody's on board. We're on the same track, the same mind. You build your core values out. You build your key differentiators out. What's different about you than the competition, and you start building out departments. You get department heads that are good, that fit your core values, and you start running it that way. And then you get to be where it's cool, because you get to be where you're like a little small part of Benton's. You're leading it, you're running it, but it can run without you. Next week I'm gonna go to an HVAC conference for our main supplier. They're treating us to a conference, learning about all the new stuff that's in HVAC for American Standard, and Benton's is going to run like a top while I'm going. When I come back, it's still going to be here. It's still going to be intact, and my team will just take over. They'll do their thing. They know their roles. They know what they're doing. And that really made me take off. When I started realizing, hey, I can't do everything. I can't be the chief everything officer, as I used to tell myself. So now I can be an actual CEO. And so that's pretty much.
Well, I've enjoyed watching it since you bought the little building off of Yorkville, which ended up being pretty big, and you're involved in storage too, and your new location, which is going to have a whole bunch of storage.
Stupid amount of
but
storage.
The thing that stands out for me, because I'm a big personal growth guy, is I remember you telling me 3 years ago.
Yeah.
They're like, I went and visited this guy, I think it was in Birmingham.
Yep.
And you were just lit up and energized.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, this guy shared this with me, and blah, 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 blah. And it was the first time I talked to you that you weren't like, I got to go fix this unit later.
No,
or I got to do something. You know what I mean? You were just a spark kicked off on you.
Yeah. My mentor in Birmingham, he's got a pretty good sized company. They actually have like 60 trucks. I think they're way bigger than I want to get. But he's got it figured out. He's a systems ninja. I look up to him for systems stuff. I text him and email him all the time. Be like, hey, what about this? I'm trying to build this out, and he'll give me free information. He's a giver. He just gives it all out to you. But yeah, when you get a business coach that's already knows how to build systems, and they just help you build them, and then once you build them, you train them, get them running right, and then you can let them go. They'll do their thing. You got to kind of monitor them a little bit, but yeah, once you build out some systems, you build out, this is how we do stuff, this is how we answer the phone, this is how a phone call goes, this is how a technician pulls up to a house, this is where you park. All the way down to the very little details. This is, this is what you tell a customer. This is what you don't tell a customer. This is how you present an estimate. This is how you collect a deposit, or this is how you collect a check, or, this is how you ask a customer for a review. We're the king of Google around here. So, this is how you ask for a review. This is how you discipline an employee, bad stuff. This is how you let an employee go that doesn't fit. All the nitty gritty stuff that, is really scary and daunting, it just becomes routine and easy, and this is just how we do it, so that's just coaching.
Each of those items too, where it's sort of like my friend Josh here, when I pulled up to the studios, just finishing his taxes.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes that's usually the accountant. Yeah, the accountant.
We're a little late.
I've been ready, but I had to wait for my tax attorney accountant.
We're a little late. Ours is going in today. Just got the email.
That's good enough. That all counts. But there's things like getting organized. Not people try to bite off more than they can chew. Like, I've got to get physically fit. I've got to eat perfect. I got to work out.
Right.
I got to meditate. I got to get an ice bath. I got to do a sauna. Man, yeah. And then they're like, and I got to do my AI stuff. And I got to get my website. Jeez. But if they just went, today, I'm going to make, for me, my Zillow profile up to date. Or today, I'm going to, get ChatGPT to write a new handbook for me for my employees. That's what is the stuff that's killing growth, is that they don't take the time to do those things. And the more of those things you do, you don't realize then the more time you have to work on your business, because you're going to make a lot more money working on yourself and making yourself better. And then that allows you to get your business better.
Yeah. I had kind of let the personal, like, to your point, I had got Benton's really, really in a good spot. And then this year, my sister inspired me, actually, because I was having some health issues, stress-related, weight-related, and I've started really hammering down on personal health, personal growth, making sure I see a doctor regularly. I was just scared to death of those guys. And then, going to the gym regularly, eating healthier, cutting out sugar, completely cutting out alcohol, all that kind of good stuff. Really started working, good quiet time with the Lord in the mornings, first thing, and all that kind of stuff just really, really makes a difference. And it's really helped me a lot this year. I've really focused in on that, and I'd kind of let that go because I was doing Benton's, I was getting Benton's right, getting Benton's working. Andrew was failing. I was falling off, so that's been really cool this year. I've been really hammering down on that. That's been really cool. And then once Benton's got good, then family life got a whole lot better. Once Benton's could run itself, I wasn't having to work all the time. I got 3 kids that I love. They're going to be future entrepreneurs. I can already see it. And then, making sure you spend time with your wife, you love on her and stuff like that. So once Benton's got good, then I was able to do a lot of that stuff. And then with the personal growth, coupled with the personal growth, you just moving in the right direction,
Yeah, it's been, for me, like, I've had stages in my life too, where, like, when I started in real estate 12 years ago, work, and then it turned into I needed some systems to get that under control. Then I was always doing personal growth stuff, but I wasn't working on stress management. And then I got a coach a couple of years ago, and I was waking up in the middle of the night, and it happened last night. Like, last night we went to New Orleans last week, so we brought some baked goods back with us. So last night I had a couple cupcakes or whatever at like 10 at night, and sure enough, I woke up at 3 in the morning, and my head's hot because your blood sugar gets kicked off. And 2 years ago, I would have automatically gone into it, and I tried to. Oh, we're not done with this flip project. This guy's inspection came back. I'm not going to get this done. My bank account's done. Imposter syndrome, and the whole night would be ruined. Whereas last night, like, I went outside, took a deep breath, meditated for a little while, and hey, this is the sugar in your body. This isn't the stress. Men generally attribute, if you feel bad, it's stress, it must be work.
Right.
Whereas in reality, most of the time it was food or alcohol. And I was going, and that breakthrough alone has been worth whatever I've paid for coaching, because now I'm like, I just ate bad because I'm an idiot. And so I'm waking up in the middle of the night going, okay, I'm not worried about that concerned about. I've got systems for the flip house and for the rentals, and we'll get through it. And I have this, and I have this, and
that's that stress free you're talking about with the entrepreneur, making me think of that. Like, man, I talk about air conditioners in my sleep. Allie's like, you're talking about fixing this unit, in your sleep, and it just keeps you up at night. Like, I guess it's probably eating. You're right, and then it kicks back in. You're like up, and. Hey, luckily I haven't fixed anything in my sleep. That would be a whole nother level. Rebuilding the toilet in my sleep, that would be a whole nother
At level. Your own house. Now, I know you've referenced the camper thing. Y'all stayed in a camper at your own house for a little while.
Dude,
right?
That was rough, man. We got our dream house down in the prairie, and it was not so dreamy at first. And that was a rough year for our marriage, for work, for all that. We did a remodel, took a house from 1,800 square feet, ripped the front of it off. Added a garage, added a master suite, redid the whole inside, all that kind of stuff. Of course, we did the plumbing, electrical, HVAC. We had killer contractors for that. But yeah, we lived in a camper in our driveway. 100% don't recommend it. It wouldn't bother me if that thing caught on fire and burned up, and that would just be nice. Don't tell my insurance guy, but that was a rough year. Don't recommend that. 10 out of 10 do not recommend that. But this is our last house we're going to remodel while we're there, so that's nice.
You could do a stick-built house next time.
Yeah, right.
And that's funny. People don't realize the entrepreneur where they see a successful business. They see, he's got a whole bunch of trucks, a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. And he probably goes home to a mansion, but you never know what other people are going through. You have no idea what people are dealing with when they get home.
Yeah, it's man, the persona, like, talking about that, like, they just think, I guess they think that we drive Lamborghinis and, and we got this Taj Mahal. I mean, my house it's a 4-bedroom, but it's not ridiculous. We're pretty moderate about it. But yeah, I drive a work truck. I drive a Ford. I used to drive a little Maverick. If y'all see my little Maverick around town, that's like squatted because there's so much stuff in it. Little blue Maverick. And then now I'm in a Ford, an F-150 that's like 6 years old. We don't have the nice fancy things. Like I put a lot back into my business. I put stuff into the community first. I get the scraps basically, and that's people, the persona of that, just business owners, you're just making millions and millions of dollars. It's just not true.
I reference all the most successful, like especially restaurateurs, but Doug's at Zachary's 6 days a week, and the Hucks are at Huckabee. John Bean and his son were running the kitchen during COVID at Harvey's. Mr. John's always at John.
And these guys, all those people, they're not driving Maseratis and stuff. They're working hard. There's a few, there's a rare few that just rocket off and take off and they're making millions in here and there. But like in Columbus, Mississippi, like when we give you a check for like a sponsorship or something like that, that's it's a pretty serious deal. Like you should really take that serious. We're not making ridiculous. Just because I'm on a billboard doesn't mean I'm like a massive celebrity.
Yeah, well, especially when you have you're only as good as your last 3 months when you have employees, is what I say. Like you slow down.
Yeah.
Like I slow down, I have to, go kill it, hunt something, kill it, bring it home. But you got to do that for 30 people.
Yeah, I got all those people that are dependent on me to bring in a paycheck for them. And it gets slow. We got an odd week. We have a little or something like that. It makes a big difference. Like my guys they know that like, hey, the work that they're doing today is paying their paycheck. And it's a lot. It's a lot of stress having to hold on to that many families that are dependent on you to keep them employed and keep them paycheck, keep them busy. And so this year's kind of funny. It's a little bit of a funny year. We've had lots of ups and downs. I've been through everything with COVID and with the regime changes and the going back and forth and stuff. So it's it's kind of a funky year this year. Now the government's shut down, so that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, it's affected our area. PACCAR's laid off a whole bunch of people. The Air Force Base, half the base isn't there. So the military people aren't working, but the civilians on base are.
Right. The
military people are working and some of them not getting paid, and the civilians are all off.
Yeah.
And every time that goes, the further it goes closer to a month, it pushes. Everything's trickle up for me, and real like there's not a lot, like you said, not a lot of billionaires here who are doing stuff. So a lot of our stuff is like if the blue collar people aren't working, they'll just put up. At this time of year, they'll be like, well, if the air conditioning's bad, I'm going to wait.
Yep. Yeah, we get that a lot. Like we get where we'll try to always do the best repair, but like we can offer all the way down to just a Band-Aid patch. Hey, you really do need a new AC, but we're going to put everything we can into it to try to get this one running, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But, yeah, we've had a lot of people just doing patch repairs this year. I can really feel it. Or they finance a new AC, which we got options all the way down to no credit at all, so we can really help people out with that. But, we try to do the best repair. Like, we do it the best way that we know how to do it. And but we can do just bare minimum, patch it up, throw a clamp on it, hold it together, get the electrical where it's safe, or the the plumbing or gas or whatever. We don't, some of the stuff we got a zero tolerance. We only do it a certain way. But like some of the stuff where it's just not life or death, or it's not going to be majorly detrimental to the house or business, we'll tell them up front. We're like, hey, this will get you going. This will get you going, and we've been doing a lot of get you goings this year. So
yeah. My main index, other than how many houses are sold, are like my rentals. When I have like right now, half of mine are either behind, or kind of slipping behind on payments or moving out, and I've had two that went to move out and then called back and they're like, I can't find anything.
Yeah, we have, you and me, we talk about rentals. We have a few rentals around as well. That's kind of my side gig, my retirement plan. And, we see that with our rentals. They'll get behind. We'll help them out as much as we can. But, ultimately we got a mortgage or we got insurance or taxes on them, And so, I see that a lot with our rentals, too. Well, they're not renting as quick. The storage side of it, it's always pretty booming. Pretty booming. It's good when it's bad, and it's good when it's good. People got too much junk when it's good, and then they got to downsize their house, and then they got to figure out what to do with their junk when it's bad. So ours, they're pretty recession proof. They stay pretty packed, but that new one, we ought to fill it up pretty quickly with the new one that we got. So.
Yeah, it's part of the deal. Talk about your billboards and your marketing a little. I know y'all had TikTok stuff, and you and I talked about slogans before you did it. You've got the most simple one ever.
It's so simple.
I have Colin, I sell houses.
Yeah, I love yours. I liked your favorite one that you've had was the one where you robbed the bankruptcy one.
Yeah, 329 sold and 329 bill, and he had too many bills, and I put 329 sold too many houses.
That's my favorite one of yours, by the way. But yeah, that comes from the EOS. That's the first thing you do when you sit down and you want to figure out your business is you figure out what you're different than everybody else, how you're different. Mine are like super simple. They're really easy to remember. We answer the phone, we show up on time, and we do a quality job. It's really like it's you think it's I don't know why it's so hard for people to get, but it really works, and that's just simple branding. Like we're not going to make the branding complicated. Not gonna. I mean, we could get a jingle. I'd love to get a jingle, but now we're rolling with our TikTok pretty heavy. People used to love our TikToks because they were funny. We're just goofing off. We're having a good time. We got a really cool team that just has fun and gets to goof off. And I just hired a branding manager. She's going to start getting our TikTok going, so y'all get to see some funny content about turds and fall air and just having fun and stuff like that, and just doing funny dances and hanging out and doing some cool community stuff in there too, helping puppies and helping babies and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's pretty simple. Just answer the phone, show up on time, do a quality job. And anytime we build a system out, anytime we hire or fire somebody, anytime we have any kind of customer interaction or anything that has to do with what we do at Benton's, we relate everything back to that. Does it help us answer the phone better? Does it make it to where we can show up on time? Does our quality job matter? And does that work? So that's our it's simple branding. Not real complicated.
Well, as we get near the end of this, tell everybody what you do.
Well, what I do is we do plumbing. So we do drain clearing. We dabble in septics a little bit. We run new water lines. We do all the way down to just changing out a toilet flapper. We do a lot of gas work. So we're partnered with Atmos Gas. So we do a lot of gas logs. Right now we're doing lots of gas logs because everybody wants to cozy up by those for the winter. A lot of water heating, gas and electric and tankless water heating. On the electrical side, we do anything electrical you can think of. Tree falls on your power pole, rips it off the house. We'll come fix that. That's lickety-split stuff. New electrical panel, you got a fuse box from the 50s. We can change those over to update them. Do a lot of safety stuff with that. A lot of LED retrofitting for businesses. So we take old school light fixtures, convert them to LED. A lot of commercial digging for electrical services, bringing in new services. And then on the HVAC, we do everything on HVAC. We have a little Benton Blue Club. It's kind of corny, kind of nerdy, but
you texted me this morning.
Yeah, I texted you this morning. Yeah, Colin, you're on our Benton Blue Club. You're awesome with that. But we just come out twice a year, maintenance your unit. We like to do preventative stuff on the HVAC side. We got same-day service on all three departments, so you call us, we'll get there same day. But on the HVAC, with our key people that are key customers, is we want to maintain them when it's not an emergency. So we want to come out. We want to find the squeaky motor. We want to find the swollen capacitor, the drain line that's clogged up that's could damage your house, the unit that's a little bit low on refrigerant, Freon, all that kind of stuff. Keep it washed, make it run efficiently, and we that's our bread and butter for HVAC. And then we do full system installs. I think we got the best install in the area, in my opinion. We're leveling up that game right now. Actually, custom concrete pads. Everything's getting changed out. We got a cleaning service that's going to come behind us, clean up on the units behind us. Everybody's wearing shoe booties. We're actually rolling out a carpet. So we have custom mats that we're getting made. We're going to roll it out on the front door so we can kick our feet off, clean them up, and then slide the booties on. And really have my guys, we go through a shop vac a year. That's what I want them to do. I want them to tear up a shop vac in 1 year by just clean it up behind themselves. That's what a lot of our reviews get on our Google reviews. And so that's pretty much it on HVAC. We do commercial HVAC, residential HVAC, and with the HVAC comes a lot of different stuff. But that's pretty much what we do. We do a lot of attic insulation and a lot of duct cleaning, and those are kind of complementary to the HVAC. I know you said we do everything.
I think you're the only duct cleaning place that's not a scam. Usually, if you look up duct cleaning,
we do a real deal duct cleaning. It takes about a day, and we'll make sure the ducts will handle it, and then we do an aerosol cleaner to go through it after we get done. We got a really nice duct cleaning machine, really good team on that. And oftentimes, once we get the ducts cleaned, we will put in systems to keep them cleaned. So we'll do ultraviolet lights, we'll do filtration, we'll seal the ducts to make sure there's not leakage to get back in them. That's a big deal. Cold and flu season is about to come. It's already here for some people, but with those ultraviolet lights, with the air filtration, with the getting the ducts cleaned, that is crucial for cold and flu season. So
now, as I've seen a few people complaining about electricity and bills online, I have a 3,200 square foot house.
Yep.
And then my bill from last month was $270. And I got and that's a big 125-year-old house.
That's
and
kicking.
I tell people this over and over again, and they don't listen to me. Can you touch on two things, which is number one, the Atmos credits for gas appliances, which is awesome, and then number two, the TVA Energy Right program.
Man, look, dude. Okay, so TVA, it's where everybody buys their power from, whether you like it or not. Tennessee Valley Authority, they're up in Tennessee. They make all the power. They sell it to everybody. Starkville Utilities, Columbus Light and Water, Fort County. They're a big part of it. All the little places, everybody. So we're on this TVA program. We're a quality contractor in their network. And, dude, they got thousands of dollars you can get back. So, like, on the attic insulation right now, you can get $500. On sealing your ductwork, you can get $300. On HVAC systems, you can get up to $1,000. On mini splits, you can get up to, like, $1,500. And then they got it for just our tune-ups. Like all of our maintenance customers, they get $50. And then on top of that, we max out the rebates and the tax credits. So on top of that, you'll get for a new heat pump, either a mini split or a central unit, you can get $2,000 tax credit. And then for the attic insulation, if you do attic insulation or ductwork, you can get a $1,200 tax credit. So I've gotten people. I did it myself personally, actually, on my personal house. And my electricity bill, I got a pretty good sized house, and my electricity bill never breaks a couple $100, which is awesome. But I've gotten people almost $6,000 back, and when they do an upgrade to their house, they'll get their ducts tight, they'll get their attic insulation, they'll get their new unit, and I got them like $6,000 between tax credits and rebates. And then the Atmos is a whole other thing. That's gas. The tankless water heaters, you get $250. For a base model tankless, for the Cadillac tankless, you get $350, and then you can get $100 for your thermostat if you get a smart thermostat,
which is almost free.
Yeah, it's almost free. Yeah, it makes it free, which is cool. And then all kinds of gas rebates, and you can get tax credits on those too. But yeah, we max out that. We actually do that for our customers. Like I have an employee, that's their primary job, is just tax credits, rebates. We sign them up for everything, register their equipment, register them for the rebates, make sure they get the rebates, send them a little thank you card with all their rebate information and all their tax credits, so when they file their taxes, they get it. So yeah, I did it at my house twice. I did it for one system on one side 1 year, and then the next year I did the other system, and I got both tax credit and rebate. I got about $8,000 at the end of the day.
And the TVA Energy Right program, you get your check in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
it's not a
quick,
huge
man.
process.
Yeah, it may be a month, just depending on how backed up they are.
I can tell people with old houses, I am an expert on energy efficiency. And the last thing you need to do is your windows. Everybody's like windows. They're important, but
they're the last thing. You can hit it right. You can hit it hard with the attic insulation. Attic insulation is a really quick return on investment.
Also sealing. They caulk and seal under the house and where the holes go in the attic. And heat and cooling's going up and down. That solves such a big problem.
Yeah, the air sealing is huge. The attic insulation is the second biggest thing. The unit hits pretty hard too. If you get the unit, get it installed right. The ducts, you can lose so much money through the ductwork. Like you get your ductwork sealed or replaced or whatever you got to do to it.
Before I met Andrew, I had one of the coolest crawl spaces in Columbus. It was amazing. They got down there and they're like, it's nice.
And when you get out, you're burning up. Yeah. That makes a big difference, man. Like just keep the air where it needs to go. It's not rocket science. And then once I figured out I could get people all this money. I was like, I'm an energy nut. I love LED lights. I love, saving the environment by doing energy efficient stuff. It was a no-brainer. It lined up really good with us. So
yeah, with the TVA energy program, you can use them on your rentals too. And I know some of the Atmos ones are different whether they're commercial or not. But the TVA energy one is.
All my rental houses get high efficiency units. They're a little bit more, and then I get the money and the tax credits and all that, and then
that matters on your rental. You'll get your money back from the rent if you have a tankless.
Yeah, look, I go to the TVA meetings twice a year normally. And what they're talking about is pretty serious. Like, we really need to hammer down because the grid is getting overloaded.
Yeah, because of AI and stuff.
When they're turning the grid off, it is because it's about to blow up, like literally not work.
Yeah.
And when they did a few years ago, they shut it off in the middle of an ice storm, and it got serious fast. And so we're just trying to do our part to lower the energy consumption in the area, and keep it down to where it can handle it, because it'll get to where it can't handle it, and then we'll be doing lots of blackouts. And I guess I forgot we do generators.
Yeah, I was about to say that about generators.
Dang, generators.
I can tell one thing that you do not work on. Do you work on hot water heaters?
Oh man, we love some good hot water heaters. Yeah, but no, we don't work on hot water heaters. We work on water heaters that heat water to be hot.
So water heaters.
But yeah, I thought about that on generators. Yeah, power outages sell generators. We do a lot of Generac. We're Generac certified dealer, and the generators are sweet. They're nice. It's a luxury item, but when the power goes out,
it's not a luxury item. 20 years ago and 5 weeks ago, while I stayed in a house with no air conditioner heat in Meridian, Mississippi for 4 or 5 days at 100 degrees. Yeah, no, that's
rough.
I could use it.
We didn't have one. We had a portable when we came through Katrina. We had a portable, and it was it did it. It kept the food cold. We had a little window unit, and it was all right. But yeah, it was not fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and you think you can if it happens for 2 days, I'll just leave, and you a lot of times can't leave.
Where are you gonna go? Yeah, when it's bad, especially with the ice storm. We couldn't go anywhere in the ice storm. We had a couple trucks on the road that were 4-wheel drive, knocking stuff out with plumbing and HVAC, but. Yeah, we were stuck at our house, and
our last ice storm, y'all came and brought me a gas heater. My wife and kids abandoned me and went to the mother-in-law's house.
Nice, yeah. Your mother-in-law's got good heating in there too.
Nah, she's got a nice spot. So
yeah.
Well, good deal, man. I appreciate you coming today. How do they get in touch with y'all? I keep giving out your personal cell phone still. But.
Don't do that, Colin. I got a family life, brother. So it's 662-657-2583. So 2583 is actually blue because we're obsessed with the color blue. Yeah, but you can also book us online. Super easy. Go to our website. It's bentonsinc.com. You can book us online. You can book us on Facebook directly, where it's the same thing. Takes us to the website. You can book it online. You can text that 662-657 blue. You can text that number. You can book us that way. It's easy to get up with us, I promise. Like I got 3 people that answer the phone. I'm so serious about my phone answering. We just hired another one because we get 100 plus calls a day, and we're not going to miss them, and we're going to call them back. And so my people are serious about the phone. But yeah, that's the best way. You could call us, text us, email. Email if you want to email it. It's info@bentonsinc.com, and then book us on.
Y'all are pretty easy to find. If you type in Benton's
if you can't, if I hear that, like, that is a national emergency. If I hear like customers say, "Well, I couldn't get up with you," I was like, "Whoa, what now? What?" Like,
I assumed it was a robot texting me about all my appointments, and then I asked them something. They called. They're like, "No, Mr. Collin." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, we monitor all that stuff. Yeah. We're serious about our customer communication. It's real serious.
Well, I thank you. I'm not going to brag on you too much as we go out of the door, but I don't think there's anybody else in your field that does nearly as much as y'all do with the community. Bank First is the only one that comes close, and they're a giant bank. And I know every month y'all have a project.
Yeah, we're going to hammer down on that this year. I got busy. I got busy, and so I hired Caitlin. She's going to be doing all of our fun stuff. She gets to do all the fun stuff. I'm really jealous, actually. But we're doing a project a month. We're looking to sponsor sports teams. Do fundraisers, all that kind of stuff. We, nonprofits. We love all that stuff. We're a for-profit business. to be able to give back to nonprofits. That's one of my main goals in life, is just to be able to help the nonprofits, help the fundraising, help the school teams. We're giving, we want to be on every single school billboard, the school banner, helping the sports boosters. That's our branding. That's what we want to market. We're not going and spending stupid amount of money with people that are not here in Columbus. We're spending it right here in Columbus on our marketing. So
good deal. Thank you, Andrew Benton, for coming in. And
man, thanks for having me.
All right, we'll see you soon.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. My name is Colin Krieger, and my day job is real estate. If you're looking to buy or sell, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you just want to sit and talk real estate in a no pressure situation, I'd love to help you. I work with RE/MAX Partners in Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, Mississippi. I can help you find an agent anywhere in Mississippi or anywhere in the country. Just reach out to our office at 662-327-7705 or find me anywhere when you type in 662-329-SOLD.